Most people believe that to be happy, you need to add more to your life. More money, more friends, more accomplishments, and more habits. We are taught that happiness is a mountain we must climb by stacking one stone on top of another. But what if the secret to a peaceful life isn't about what you add, but what you subtract? What if your stress isn't coming from your entire life, but from a very specific, tiny corner of it? This is where the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule, becomes your most powerful tool for emotional freedom. The 80-20 rule suggests that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. In the world of psychology and stress management, this translates to a startling reality. 80% of your mental exhaustion, your late-night overthinking, and your daily anxiety is usually caused by just 20% of your activities, people, or thoughts. We often view our stress as a giant, insurmountable cloud that covers everything. We say, "My life is stressful." But that is a misunderstanding. Your life isn't stressful. You have specific stressors that are poisoning your overall peace. When you realize that you don't need to change your entire world to feel better, that you only need to identify and cut that vital 20%, you move from a victim of your circumstances to the architect of your soul. The first psychological insight into this rule involves your social circle. Research in social psychology often points to the burden of the few. We all have that one friend, that one family member, or that one colleague who seems to drain 80% of our emotional energy. These are the people who leave you feeling depleted after a simple coffee date, the ones whose names on your phone screen cause an instant tightening in your chest. Psychology shows that we possess a limited social battery, and when we spend it on high-maintenance, low-reward relationships, we have nothing left for the people who actually matter. You might have 10 friends, but if 2 of them are responsible for nearly all your social anxiety, the 80-20 rule tells you that removing or distancing yourself from those 2 people won't just improve your social life by 20%, it will improve your mental health by 80%. Reframing this isn't about being mean or cold, it is about being a guardian of your inner peace. By saying no to the draining few, you are finally saying a powerful yes to the nourishing many. Secondly, consider your daily micro-decisions. We live in an era of decision fatigue. Research indicates that the average human makes thousands of choices every day, but only a small fraction of those choices actually move the needle on our happiness. Think about the 20% of your daily tasks that cause 80% of your morning dread. Is it checking your emails the moment you wake up? Is it the way you argue with strangers online? Or perhaps it's the habit of saying yes to every small favor asked of you. These small, repetitive actions create a background noise of stress. When you identify these specific stress anchors, you realize they are often just habits we've picked up along the way. By cutting out that 20% of unnecessary busy work, you create a vacuum that is naturally filled with clarity and calm. You aren't being lazy, you are being efficient with your heart. The third insight focuses on the information overload we consume. In 2026, we are bombarded with more data in a single day than our ancestors were in an entire lifetime. Psychological studies on headline stress disorder suggest that a tiny 20% of the content we consume, the doom scrolling, the toxic comparison on social media, or the constant news alerts, is responsible for 80% of our feelings of inadequacy and fear. You don't have to delete the internet, you just have to prune the garden. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel like you aren't enough. Mute the words that trigger your anxiety. When you cut the toxic 20% of your digital diet, you'll find that the remaining 80% of your time becomes a space for inspiration rather than intimidation. Fourth, let's look at the ego of perfectionism. Many of us struggle with the idea that every part of our lives must be 100% perfect. However, psychology shows that 80% of our self-doubt comes from the 20% of things we aren't actually good at or don't actually enjoy. We spend so much energy trying to fix our weaknesses that we forget to celebrate our strengths. If you hate cooking but force yourself to do it perfectly every night, that 20% of your day is ruining the 80% of the time you spend with your family afterward. Reframing this means accepting that it's okay to be average or even bad at the things that don't align with your soul's purpose. By letting go of the need to be perfect in that stressful 20%, you free up the mental bandwidth to be extraordinary in the things you love. Fifth is the concept of mental loops. Our brains are wired to prioritize negative information as a survival mechanism. This leads to rumination, where we replay the same 3 or 4 negative memories or worries over and over. These loops represent a tiny 20% of our actual experiences, yet they occupy 80% of our internal dialogue. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy suggests that by identifying these specific recurring thought demons and challenging them, we can collapse the entire structure of our anxiety. You are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts. Once you see that most of your pain is coming from a few broken records playing in your head, you can choose to take the needle off the record. Finally, we must address the 80-20 rule of physical clutter. Our external environment is a reflection of our internal state. Many of us live in homes filled with objects, yet we only use 20% of them. That other 80%? It's visual noise. It's a constant silent reminder of money wasted, projects unfinished, or a past version of ourselves we haven't let go of. Psychology shows that a cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. By clearing out the 20% of things that actively annoy you or remind you of failure, you create a sanctuary that fosters 80% more creativity and relaxation. Cutting the 20% is not a one-time event. It is a way of living. It is the realization that you have a limited amount of time, energy, and love to give, and it is your responsibility to ensure it isn't being siphoned off by things that don't deserve you. You are allowed to be protective of your energy. You are allowed to walk away from the 20% that hurts so you can finally run towards the 80% that heals. If you are feeling overwhelmed today, remember, you don't need to fix everything. You just need to find the few things that are truly weighing you down and let them go. You have the strength to choose peace over performance. You have the wisdom to see the difference between what is essential and what is just loud. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this perspective shifted something within you, consider subscribing to join our community of growth-minded souls. Let's continue to uncover the psychological insights that help us lead a lighter, more intentional life. Until next time, take a deep breath, find your 20%, and give yourself permission to let it go. Your growth is a journey, and you are doing much better than you think.